bhagavate vasudevaya. Okay, so today we're reading from Canto 2, Chapter 12, Text 12. Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 12. Adina lila hasite kshanollasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menam ishvaram Yavan manodharan ayavatishthate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharanayavatisthate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharanayavatisthate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharayanavishtate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharanayavatisthate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharanayavatisthate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Iksheta chintamayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharanayavatisthate Adina lila hasite kshano lasad Bhrubhanga sansuchita bhuryanugraham Ikshetam chintayam menamishvaram Yavan manodharanayavatisthate Adina, very magnanimous. Leela, pastimes. Hasita, smiling. Ikshana, by glancing over. Ulasat, glowing. Bhrubhanga, signals of the eyebrow, sansuchita, indicated, bhuri, extensive, anugraham, benediction, iksheta, one must concentrate on, chintamayam, transcendental, enam, this particular, Ishvaram, the Supreme Lord, yavat, as long as, manaha, the mind, dharanaya, by meditation, avatishthate, can be fixed. Translation: the Lord's magnanimous pastimes and the glowing glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extensive benedictions. One must therefore concentrate on this transcendental form of the Lord, as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 5, it is said that the impersonalist undergoes a series of difficult programs on account of his impersonal meditation. But the devotee, due to the Lord's personal service, progresses very easily. Impersonal meditation is therefore a source of suffering for the impersonalist. Here, the devotee has an advantage over the impersonalist philosopher. The impersonalist is doubtful about the personal feature of the Lord, and therefore he always tries to meditate upon something which is not objective. For this reason, there is an authentic statement in the Bhagavatam regarding the positive concentration of the mind on the factual form of the Lord. The process of meditation recommended herein is bhakti yoga, or the process of devotional service after one is liberated from material conditions. Jnana yoga is the process of liberation from the material conditions. After one is liberated from the conditions of material existence, i.e., when one is nivritta, as previously stated herein, or when one is freed from all material necessities, one becomes qualified to discharge the process of bhakti yoga. Therefore, bhakti yoga includes jnana yoga, or, in other words, the process of pure devotional service simultaneously serves the purpose of jnana yoga. Liberation from material conditions is automatically achieved by the gradual development of pure devotional service. These effects of bhakti yoga are called anartha nivritti. Things which are artificially acquired gradually disappear along with the progress of bhakti yoga. Meditation on the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, the first processional step, must show its effect by anartha nivritti. The grossest type of anartha which binds the conditioned soul in material existence is sex desire, and the sex desire gradually develops in the union of the male and female. When the male and female united, the sex desire is further aggravated by the accumulation of buildings, children, friends, relatives, and wealth. When all these are acquired, the conditioned soul becomes overwhelmed by such entanglements, and the false sense of egoism, or the sense of myself and mine, becomes prominent, and the sex desire expands to various political, social, altruistic, philanthropic, and many other unwanted engagements, resembling the foam of the sea waves, which become very prominent at one time, and at the next moment vanishes as quickly as a cloud in the sky. The conditioned soul is encircled by such products, as well as products of sex desire, and therefore bhakti yoga leads to gradual evaporation of the sex desire, which is summarized in 3 headings, namely profit, adoration, and distinction. All conditioned souls are mad after these different forms of sex desire, and one shall see for himself how much he has been freed from such material hankerings based primarily on the sex desire. As a person feels his hunger satisfied after eating each morsel of foodstuff, he must similarly be able to see the degree to which he has been freed from sex desire. The sex desire is diminished along with its various forms by the process of bhakti yoga, because bhakti yoga automatically, by the grace of the Lord, effectively results in knowledge and renunciation, even if the devotee is not materially very well educated. Knowledge means knowing things as they are, and if by deliberation it is found that there are things which are at all unnecessary, naturally the person who has acquired knowledge leaves aside such unwanted things. When the conditioned soul finds by culture of knowledge that the material necessities are unwanted things, he becomes detached from such unwanted things. This stage of knowledge is called vairagya, or detachment from unwanted things. We have previously discussed that the transcendentalist is required to be self-sufficient and should not beg from the rich blind persons to fulfill the bare necessities of life. Shukdev Goswami has suggested some alternatives for the bare necessities of life, namely the problem of eating, sleeping, and shelter, but he has not suggested any alternative for sex satisfaction. One who has the sex desire still with him should not at all try to accept the renounced order of life. For one who has not attained to this stage, there is no question of a renounced order of life. So, by the gradual process of devotional service under the guidance of a proper spiritual master, and following the principles of the Bhagavatam, one must be able at least to control the gross sex desire before one accepts the renounced order of life, factually. So purification means getting free gradually from sex desire. And this is attained by meditation on the person of the Lord as described herein, beginning from the feet. One should not try to go upwards artificially without seeing for himself how much he has been released from the sex desire. The smiling face of the Lord is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and there are many upstarts who at once try to begin with the 10th canto, and especially with the 5 chapters which delineate the Rasa Leela of the Lord. This is certainly improper. By such improper study or hearing of Bhagavatam, the material opportunists have played havoc by indulgence in sex life in the name of Bhagavatam. This vilification of Bhagavatam is rendered by the acts of the so-called devotees. One should be free from all kinds of sex desire before he tries to make a show of recital of Bhagavatam. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur clearly defines the import of purification as cessation from sex indulgence. He says, Yatha yatha dhischa sudhyati vishaya lampatyam tyajati tatha tatha dharayed iti chitta shuddhi tarat. Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Dharayed iti chitta shuddhi tarat mane naiva dhyana taratmyam uktam. And as one gets free from the intoxication of sex indulgence by purification of intelligence, one should step forward for the next meditation, or in other words, the progress of meditation on the different limbs of the transcendental body of the Lord should be enhanced in proportion to the progress of purification of the heart. The conclusion is that those who are still entrapped by sex indulgence should never progress to meditation above the feet of the Lord. Therefore, recital of Srimad Bhagavatam by them should be restricted to the 1st and 2nd cantos of the great literature. One must complete the purificatory process by assimilating the contents of the first 9 cantos. Then one should be admitted into the realm of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hello, welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today's purport was really nice. I don't really feel like I need to say anything. I could probably get up to Vyasasan now. That was very comprehensive and sweet. But it touched on a wide variety. It reminds me actually of the Upadeshamrita. I was thinking this purport because it starts with the sort of the basics, the introductory levels. It's said of the that famous opening verse of Upadeshamrita, Vachu Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, which goes through the 6 desires we have for sense gratification. It is said that that is like the door into transcendental life. It isn't even necessarily the beginning, it's the entryway. But then, of course, we read in the Nectar of Instruction, it concludes with the glories of Radhakund and all these very high things. So I was reminded of that when I was reading this purport. It begins with the root of material life, and it begins with the insufficiency of the impersonalist quest for liberation, sort of the basic things, and then it ends in the Ras Lila in the 10th canto. But this is an important thing, to cleanse these desires from the heart in order that the Lord may take place in them. We read that the conditioned chittas, the conditioned hearts of all of the living beings, Krishna says we read in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that all of these are composed of one of the 3 modes of, as a mixture of the 3 modes of material nature, in all those 3 gunas. But we know from reading Bhagavatam that Krishna does not appear in such a place. He appears when one is in the mode of Shuddha Sattva, which Prabhupada in some purports further defines as the Vasudev platform. Why the Vasudev platform? Because from Vasudev comes Vasudev. So it is with this purity of Shuddha Sattva, of the pure mode of goodness, that the Lord may take place in one's heart. And there's a pastime that I remember regarding this. There are 6 sons of Marichi who exist, and they were there back in the day when Brahma was running after Saraswati. He was lusting after her. And they saw this and they thought, this is a bit peculiar. Why is this going on? And they mocked. Their names were Smara, Udgita, Parishvanga, Patanga, Kshudrabhrit, and Grini. And they saw this and they mocked and they laughed. They thought, this is absurd. Why? That's his daughter. That's just not on, is it? And because of that offense, Yogamaya took them and said, well, now you're going to have to take another birth in the family of demons. You're cursed for having such improper action. In Bhagavatam, Krishna describes himself, this pastime, and the word that's used, it stems from the word Gyan, I think. No, Vidya. It stands from the word Vidya. Their action was avadya. It came from ignorance. It was ignorant and foolish behavior. And because of this ignorant and foolish behavior, they took again birth as the grandchildren of Hiranyakashipu. And then their names were Hamsa, Suvikrama, Kratha, Dumana, Ripu Mardana, and Krodhahanta. And they were these six grandchildren of Hiranyakashipu. And as we know, Hiranyakashipu was not very happy with the worship of anyone besides himself. There were no mantras besides Hiranyakashipave Namaha. That is what they were all saying and worshipping. However, these 6 sons decided, well, they knew, Hiranyakashipu, he did pretty well by doing so much tapasya to please Brahma, didn't he? So much great benediction he did. He's immortal. No one's going to kill him. He will survive a very, very long time. So they thought, we will do the same. So they secretly went away in some dark alleyway somewhere. And they went and they worshipped Brahma, and they did intense tapasya, and they did intense worship of him. A reversal. In their past life, they got in trouble for being so disrespectful to Brahma. And in this lifetime, we're about to hear, they're going to get in trouble for worshipping him. And they worship him and they please him, and Brahma appears. Brahma says, whatever you want, I'll give you. And then they think, well, Hiranyakashipu, I can't ask for immortality, but I'll do the same trick he did. And they said, we're probably not going to be killed by demons because we're born in a family of demons. So we'll ask. Okay, I don't want to be killed by any demon. Please allow me immortality. I will not be killed by any demigod or Gandharva, or any of these divine beings from the upper planetary systems. And Brahma, he understood the desire in their heart, and he said, okay, I can't give immortality. We've already gone over that one, but I'll give you this one. So they had that, and they thought, very good. We're not going to die anytime soon. We're going to have a nice life. But Hiranyakashipu discovered this, and he was furious. He said, betrayed by my own grandchildren. I wouldn't tolerate worship of anyone else from anyone here. But my own grandchildren, you are not worshipping me, I will curse you now. And my curse is that you will be killed by your own father in your next birth. And then so they go on, and they go into their next lifetime. And they are born as Kirtiman, Sushena, Bhadrasena, Riju, Samardana, and Bhadra. They are born as these children, but they are born in a rather precarious situation. They are born in the womb of Devaki after the curse of, after the announcement of the astral voice that these children are somewhat dangerous for Kamsa, and Kamsa is, of course, to intensify the danger of the situation. Kamsa is that same father that they had in their previous birth, and so each one was killed. Each one was, as we know, we hear this pastime often, each one was killed. So, and then, of course, later on in Krishna's pastime, Krishna descends to the afterlife, and he recovers them and presents them to Devaki, and all is well, and they're able to return again. Very sweet, and we see here a nice little adventure. And some people may ask, how is this possible that this very material pastime of people getting offended, demons getting upset, curses here, people mocking Brahma, how can this occur in the womb of Devaki, that same womb which just one baby later has the Supreme Personality of Godhead's direct expansion, and then the next child later has literally the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that we should understand, in the same way that the entire material universe is present in Krishna, in that same way, but does not pollute him, in the same way these things are occurring alongside Krishna Lila and inside the transcendental womb of Devaki. But these 6 children, their father is considered to be, their original father, Marichi, is considered to be the personification of mind. Yeah, he is representing the mind. And so the 6 children of the mind, there are 2 descriptions given for who they can be. One is that they are the 6 pleasures that the mind can have: sound, touch, form, taste, smell, and thought. These are 6 pleasures with which we enjoy the material world with. So these are 6 things which they could be representing. The other 6, and these are the 6 that Srila Prabhupada gives in Bhagavatam, is that they represent Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. And these 6 things are also the products of the mind. They represent very much the cycle of material nature. When we have kama, lust, when it is obstructed, then we have krodha, we get angry. We were lusted after that and we didn't get it. We can see often, I see often, I'll go shopping and you'll see a little child, they'll ask their parent for something because they have that small bit of calm for it, and then their parent says no, and then they'll cry and get angry. But then if they get it, if they get that thing, why does the parent not want it? Because say they get that candy, then suddenly the lobh, the greed will be arisen from it. So from kama comes krodha or lobha. And then once either of those happen, moha comes. We are caused to be illusioned either by anger or by that intoxication which comes from greed. And then comes madness, mada, because that madness comes from illusion. We have lost contact with reality. And then from the satisfaction of all of those, we have envy, because maybe we see other people getting that calm, the satisfaction of that calm that we so desire. So those 6 things, they sort of encapsulate that process by which, as Srila Prabhupada describes here, we bind ourselves in material nature. But Kamsa is described in the Shastras as personifying or being fear himself. From him fear comes. So if these 6 products of the mind are being killed by fear, fear of what? Srila Prabhupada says it is fear of the material world, because he is representing materialism. So that fear of the material world kills all of these 6 things. No matter which meaning you take, the purport is the same. Fear of the material world, fear of the sufferings it has to bring, fear of the incorrect conception of it, they will kill these 6 things. And then who comes next? It is not that Krishna comes directly after the removal of these things. Instead, no, it is Anantadev, it is Balaram. He comes next. And we read that Anantadev then, he prepares the womb of Devaki with various paraphernalia and all of the things necessary for the advent of the Lord. And then Krishna comes. So there are a few purports to take from that pastime. Firstly, we must realize, obviously, as Prabhupada mentions here, there must be anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti, as we know, is one of the 9 stages of the bhakti krama, of devotional life. But the actual act of anartha nivritti, of the destruction of anarthas, isn't actually complete until one is at the platform of bhava. The anartha nivritti platform is just when the majority of it sort of happens. But they will still continue anarthas in their presence well into spiritual life until virtual perfection. But this anartha nivritti needs to happen. And how does that happen? We hear then that Anantadev, who is Balaram, who is no other than the Samasti Guru, the source of all gurus, the Adi Guru. All gurus stem forth from Balaram. So it is how do we have the destruction of these anarthas? How does anartha nivritti occur? It occurs by the doorway, by the mercy of the Guru. But then we find in the other direction as well. How does Krishna come? We see the loss of the 6 before Balaram appears, but then Krishna comes after. Not only does the destruction of these anarthas happen because of Guru, but also the welcoming, the advent of Krishna in the heart happens because of Guru. But why? We read Anantadev, he decorates the heart, the womb of Devaki with various paraphernalia. It is not just that anartha nivritti, the destruction of unwanted things, allows the Lord to take advent in the heart. It is also that there must be artha pravritti, that we must have things of value. The Lord, we have merely cleared the space, but we do not leave it empty and assume that the Lord will simply enter it. There needs to be the positive qualities, the bhakti, which makes the heart so attractive to the Lord. Otherwise, why would he come? It is not just, that is the fault, again, of the impersonalist. As Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, they will aim so much for their life goal to cleanse themselves, cleanse their heart from all the anarthas which are present, and yet they do not bother to fill it with all those things which are great. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions later on, naturally, by the execution of bhakti yoga, naturally all of these anarthas will go away, because by filling the heart with these things which are permanent, which aren't the temporary lusts and desires which are the anarthas, then we will get these arthas, and they will naturally cast away all of the anarthas. And we read here that the root of all the anarthas, as we hear, is kama, or lust, and lust is defining all of the other actions of society. And we can see that. We just recently had the Mardi Gras, and we can see there that virtually every single societal movement is blatantly moving after this lust. I don't want to repeat the stuff you see, but I walked around the university and I saw advertisements for the parade, and it wasn't very much on a transcendental platform. It was rather on this platform of lust. It's not hidden at all. And we see so many things are being developed now in schools. They'll teach you the arts of how to use contraceptives and all this other nonsense. Society is built around how do we facilitate these things. Now we see in Australia, abortion is allowed at any point for no reason. At any point, one is allowed to merely slaughter the child, and a society, again, is built around facilitating this. I was watching a news program, and they were describing an abortion that didn't go ahead. It was botched, yeah? It wasn't successful. There was no murder of a fetus. And they described that baby which was born, a fetus which was born. They wanted to avoid calling it a baby so that people would not feel uncomfortable with this process, because it should be allowed, because it should be facilitated. They call it reproductive rights. It's a human right to be able to have so promiscuously any sense gratification of the sexual kind that you want. And when that is so much spread around, then how can one hope to break any sort of conditioning, even in the lower modes? Forget about a transcendental platform, even the higher modes of material nature cut off by this fallen society. So this is an issue. But then how do we practically have that cleansing of the heart? And from that we have the wonderful pastime, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before Ratha Yatra, as we know, there is the Gundicha Marjan, when the Gundicha Mandir is cleansed. This is something that is not so much mentioned in Shastras. Srila Prabhupada says there is Shastric authority for it, but Madhavananda Prabhu makes the point that the Shastric authority for it is not the conventional ones used to guide the worship of Jagannath. So it is somewhat a later but still authorized development in the worship of Jagannath. Before the Ratha Yatra is done, the Gundicha Mandir is cleansed. And we hear that Mahaprabhu asked for some devotees to come, for 3, one of who was Kashi Mishra, who was like the temple commander of the Gundicha Mandir. And what does he do? He begs for the opportunity to do so. He begs for the opportunity to clean. He doesn't beg for the opportunity to give Bhagavatam class. He does not beg for the opportunity to honor prasad. He does not beg for the opportunity to lead the kirtan, as great as all those things are. But he begs merely for the menial service of cleansing the temple. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, I was once hearing, he was giving a class and he made this point. He said, if the menial service of cleansing the temple, the house of the Lord, is so great that the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself will, and Chaitanya Charitamrita describes he is smiling while doing so, it is such a great pleasure for him to beg for this service. If it is such a great thing that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is realizing and begging for the value of it, then how much more so should we be smiling and begging for the opportunity to clean the temple, to do some menial service wherever it is often offered. I know often sometimes we'll we'll sort of try to avoid sometimes we'll know, oh, it's time now to get asked to help clean up or something, so we'll sort of duck out and wash our plates now. Now's the right time to pack up after taking prasadam. But really we should take that we should take the instructive actions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who again smilingly begged for this opportunity. And then Kashi Mishra, he said, you know, you're obviously you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not fitting for you to do such a seva, but I've been ordered by the king that whatever you would like, I should fulfill. He said, this must be one of your inconceivable pastimes. Which is something often said in Mahaprabhu Leela. I think it would have been rather confusing to be an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he said, okay, it is fine. Then I will arrange for you. I will arrange for it all to be ready. So he arranged and he got all of the water pots and broomsticks, anything that would be ready. And Mahaprabhu brought all of his associates to the temple, and he gave them the transcendental tools for their seva, their broomsticks and their pots, and they began cleaning. They began washing and cleaning the temple, and Mahaprabhu was very happy. He went up to the Singhashan, the Singha Asan, where it is considered, it's like a kingly throne. And there's a nice little purport of this. The Singha, the lion, is the king of all the animals, is he not? He is the ruler of the animal kingdom. And yet man, if he wishes to truly be a ruler, must be the king of that. He must be the ruler of his own animal desires. He must be the ruler of his own primal desires for, we all know, sleeping, mating, so on and so forth, self-defense and eating. He must be the ruler of all those things. And we know, again, I mentioned earlier, the first shlok of Upadeshamrita, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. This shlok is, this verse, it's not technically a shlok, this verse is not actually original to Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. It's actually from the Mahabharata. He is quoting it there. Bhakti Vikash Maharaj, Hanumat Preshak Maharaj, and a few other swamis, sannyasis I heard this from. And when one looks at the context originally, you'll see actually in some other translations, not that I'm reading other translations, but I flicked through one once, they will sometimes render this as not one is fit to take disciples all over the world, but one is fit to rule the whole world, because they'll translate from that original context. Both work from the Sanskrit, obviously. And from there we read that the basic platform of ruling, of authority, if it is in spiritual matters, which is the sense Srila Prabhupada translates, or in the context of Mahabharata, in sort of material matters, one must conquer these basic desires. So Mahaprabhu, he is cleaning and cleaning, and as we hear, when he is cleaning, some people are pouring his hands, because with his hands personally he is polishing. And other people are pouring water on his feet. And from the water that is being poured on his feet, some are drinking, some are begging for it, and some are collecting it and distributing it out in charity. We know that famous verse that he who thinks the water that has washed the feet of the spiritual master as ordinary is a fool. So they are doing all these things, and Mahaprabhu is cleaning. He's cleaning the whole place. And with so many tears are coming out, and he is cleaning even with those tears which are coming forth, this cleansing. But we read in the beginning of the chapter 12, when this Gundicha Marjan is described, that Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple so that it would be as clean as his heart. We do not read that Mahaprabhu cleansed it and therefore his heart was cleansed. So we see here Mahaprabhu is doing this pastime not for his own benefit necessarily, but to establish an example. We hear elsewhere there is one Bengali devotee who goes and he sees everyone else sort of drinking the water that is flowing from the feet of Mahaprabhu, and he himself does so. And Mahaprabhu looks at him, and he looks at him in shock. And he tells Swarup Damodar, he says, look, this is your Gauriya. What is he doing? What is your Gauriya doing? Get him away from me. How disrespectful is this? And Prabhupada clarifies in the purport that actually it is considered a breach of etiquette to pay obeisance or pay respects even to a spiritual master in front of the deities. This is we hear of the aparadh, speaking of anarthas. One of the aparadhs the 4 anarthas that are listed, one of the categories is that of aparadh. And one of the aparadhs that is often listed is that of seva aparadh or murti aparadh against the transcendental form of the Lord, the vigraha. So this is one of the aparadhs. So even though he was pleased, because obviously how could one not be pleased by seeing such a great mood of devotion for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but externally he had to manifest the proper etiquette, and therefore he told Swarup Damodar, get him out, and Swarup Damodar grabbed him by the neck and flung him out of the temple, and then Swarup Damodar of course came. Prabhupada again then in that purport clarifies further. He says, we must understand here, Mahaprabhu doesn't say, see what this Gauriya has done. See what this Gauriya Vaishnav has done. No, he says, see what your Gauriya Vaishnav has done. We belong to Swarup Damodar. We belong to the associates of Mahaprabhu. If we take directly what Mahaprabhu has given us, we have 10 verses. We have the Shikshashtakam, and then we have 2 others in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Padyavali, which are mentioned. And this is the only access we have to Mahaprabhu, and even those are given by the associates and disciples of Mahaprabhu. We have no we hear of the mercy of Mahaprabhu, but we have no direct means to him, but by the associates of Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada once said, you are mine and I am Krishna's, and therefore you are Krishna's. So it is by belonging to Swarup Damodar, then we are Gauriya Vaishnavas, and then we may have the mercy of Mahaprabhu. And that is then clarified further, what happens further in the pastime. Swarup Damodar runs back into the Gundicha Mandir and he tells Mahaprabhu, okay, I kicked him out, I grabbed him by the neck and flung him out, I made it clear your anger, but please let him back in. And Mahaprabhu said, of course. We read later on, after they leave, there is a wonderful kirtan and everyone is joyously chanting the holy names and there's great ecstasy, and Sri Gopal is jumping around. Sri Gopal is one of the sons of Advaita Acharya, and he's jumping around and obviously tasting the wondrous nectars of the Sankirtan movement, and they're all having such a wondrous time. And then Sri Gopal, he faints, and everyone thinks, wow, Krishna Prem, and then they realize, he's not breathing, and then and then they go, and then they're looking, and they're getting worried, and they're thinking, how can we help him recover? And then as he's not breathing longer and longer, they become worried, but nothing is happening, and they're chanting, maybe, there's so many glories of the holy name, surely he can come back, and he's still there, passed out, and after a while they become so worried, the devotees begin crying. They begin having tears, they're so sad. And then Mahaprabhu comes, and then at that point, he places his hand on Sri Gopal's chest, and he jumps up again, and the kirtan continues. But it is the crying of the devotees. We are so similar, in a sense, spiritually speaking, to Sri Gopal. We hear that famous verse that bhakti is a haituki, it is causeless. There is nothing we can do to cause it. In spiritual terms, we are dead. We are as useful as a dead body, or at least I am. We are as useful as a dead body. There is no impetus we can bring to ourselves. So we all need, in that sense, that mercy of Mahaprabhu in order to enact life into ourselves spiritually. But what do we see in that pastime? That mercy comes by the tears of the devotees, by the mercy of the devotees. When the devotees feel sympathy, when they feel mercy, when they feel compassion in their heart, then Mahaprabhu comes, and then he brings Sri Gopal back to life. Yeah? So we are hearing, this is how the cleansing happens. And there's a few ways that Mahaprabhu, he models this cleansing. We see that he is showing with his tears, he is cleaning the temple. By the power of bhakti, the anarthas are cleansed. Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, it's very commonly accepted. This Gundicha Marjan is to be taken on 3 different levels. The obvious, very literal level of the cleansing of the temple. There is a more subtle level then. This is representing how we are to cleanse our own hearts, mama mana mandire. We ourselves are a mandir, and this is showing how the anarthas are to be cleansed. So by the tears of Mahaprabhu showing his bhakti, it is being cleaned. Furthermore, we see that it is by seva, it is by service that it is being cleansed. Mahaprabhu here, he is cleansing it through service, and he is encouraging. Some devotees are doing well, some are doing poorly. We see by chastisement, by instruction of the spiritual master, the temple is being cleansed. Mahaprabhu would say, you are cleaning so nicely, keep on going, and he would pat him on the back, yeah? And then the other devotees who did not get that, they'd get embarrassed, and they'd think, am I not doing properly? And they would see from that chastisement, from the indirect chastisement and the direct instruction from the spiritual master, they would see, okay, then this is how I must do so, and they would act more frantically. And then, we see furthermore that it is from seva to the Guru, because Mahaprabhu did allow them to wash his feet as he was cleaning the temple, yeah? And then it keeps on going. And Mahaprabhu, what happens is they collect all the stuff, and Mahaprabhu says, we will take piles, and we'll take piles of all the dust and sticks and all of the dirt which has filled this temple. And we will take it not, sometimes we see people cleaning the temple, I mean I do it too, and they'll just sort of do it out the door, and then the wind will come and it all gets blown back in. No. These anarthas, he takes them outside of the compound. They're taken far away. We should have no hope that we should just push aside these anarthas, just so that we can just sort of put them out of the peripheral vision, and then when Maya decides to blow a little wind, they all come flooding back. They all went to the side, and there was 2 piles. There was the pile of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was the bigger pile, and then there was the pile of everyone else. So all the devotees combined could not compare with the frantic cleaning of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what they did then is they flooded the whole place. They filled it with so much water. They had buckets, and the buckets would clang together. So many people so ecstatically were cleaning that sometimes they'd run into each other and the buckets would break. So there was lots of communication needed, yes? They would need to give each other buckets, fill up the water, get new ones, say this one is broken. But they all communicated through how? By saying Krishna, Krishna, whenever they wanted anything. There we see Mahaprabhu is instructing further on the Krama Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami's commentary on the famous, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, the 9 forms of bhakti. Jiva Goswami says, yes, all these 9 can be done, but they should all be done alongside Sankirtan. It should be that Kirtanam is present in all of them. The chanting of the holy name should be always done continuously. It is a Yuga Dharma. And there we see in Seva, Mahaprabhu is giving the instruction that they should always be saying the names of Krishna. They're saying Krishna, Krishna when they do anything. So that is another way that the heart is being cleansed in this pastime. And then when they flood the floor to clean it, because Mahaprabhu, he does not clean it once. He is thorough with his demonstration of anartha nivritti. It is not that he cleans it once and then calls it a day. A second time, the whole place is cleaned, and a second time this is collected. And Mahaprabhu says there will be a tax for anyone who has collected the least. They will have to pay a tax of sweet cakes and sweet rice. That will be their tax as an offering. As we know later on, I won't go into the pastime, but later on they all take prasad, and it's a nice little transcendental, inconceivable pastime as Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu have a fight and they call each other names, glorifying each other indirectly, but directly insulting each other. But yes, so this is happening. So after that cleaning, then the whole place is flooded with water in order to clean. You know, sometimes the floor gets rather wet. So in order to make sure this place is as clean as possible, it is flooded and filled with water. And as the water is let out, everywhere is cleansed. We read how somehow, even beyond the purview of where the water should have gone, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it said all the devotees were confused, because not only was the temple cleansed, not only was Nrsingadev's temple cleansed, where they later went, but the roads, all of the pathways, all were cleansed. And here we find an echo of what Srila Prabhupada says here. The Jnana Yoga, all of these other aspirations in life, they're all met by Bhakti Yoga. By that all of the other problems, yes, directly there is happening Bhakti, but all of the other peripheral issues, all the other peripheral problems, indirectly, by the direct performance of Bhakti Yoga, they are all settled, they are all cleansed. Everything else was clarified. There was no other issue to have. So there the purport is that we should focus on Bhakti Yoga, and everything else will come naturally. Jnana Yoga is included, Karma Yoga is included, all of our necessities are included. There should be no need for any separate desire. So then we read that. And then of course there is a deeper meaning. We know that the Gundicha Mandir represents Vrindavan in this pastime, because the Rath is the Krishna's return, and we know that because there was 100 years separation, so all of the gopis and Srimati Radharani, they wanted to prepare, because why was the mandir so empty, so decrepit? Because without the presence of Krishna, Vrindavan becomes like a dead place. It is so lost. The cows, we read Krishna in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada so sweetly describes how when Krishna took the form of the cows, all of the calves, all of the cows gave so much more milk, and they loved even more their calves than normal. How much Krishna has taken the hearts of the cows and of the gopis, and every resident of Vrindavan, every single particle of dust there is so absorbed in Krishna. So when Krishna is gone, even the cows, they will struggle to give milk. How can they, if there is not the enjoyer who is meant to enjoy them, to be there? So that is why the Gundicha Mandir, it is empty. And then so in preparation it becomes clean, because now life will return to it. And it gets a bit esoteric, I don't want to go too much into it, but that happens there. But we should understand there, if Vrindavan is the place where Krishna resides. And we are hoping again for Krishna to reside in the heart. Srila Prabhupada is discussing here. In order to enter these higher things where Krishna is present, we need to cleanse. So this mandir here, it is representing Vrindavan. And if we want Krishna to enter into Vrindavan, if we want Krishna to enter into our heart, we must clear it up. We all know, I don't live with my parents anymore, but when I did, whenever a guest would come, that's when we would clean our house. And that is a struggle the impersonalist has. He is cleaning his house for no guest. He is cleaning his house for no purpose. He's cleaning it because he likes a tidy house, but that doesn't really work. No, very few people are very satisfied to have a clean house for the sake of having a clean house. With no one to invite into their heart, what's the point of cleaning their heart? Surely they can do it maybe for a while. For a while they'll think it's good to have self-discipline. Let me have a tidy apartment. Let me have a tidy whatever. But at one point there is no motivation. There is no spurring forth. And then, as Srila Prabhupada says, it is a very difficult progress. And we read elsewhere, eventually they fall down. Because there's just an empty heart filled with nothing. Eventually, if there's nothing filling the heart, then it can be filled up with other things. It is just an empty vessel out there. But if the heart is to be emptied, which it must be, it is not, as then as Srila Prabhupada mentions at the very end, as the sahajiyas do, that they jump into the 10th canto and try to fill their heart because they will fill it wrongly. All these anarthas will filter it and they will see it lustily. We hear the upper sampradayas Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions. There's many different ones. The Prakrita Sahajiyas are our favorite in ISKCON to bash, rightfully so. But there's others which sort of stem out from that. Another one is the Sakhi Bhekis. The Sakhi Bhekis will dress. Bhek is like a Bengali word, and it refers to dressing. And Sakhi obviously refers to Sakhi. They will dress like the Sakhis, and they will therefore try to enter prematurely because they filter through their material conceptions. So it is necessary to have that anartha nivriti, to empty, I'm going over time, to empty the heart in order to fill it with these things. But once emptied, it must be filled. This is why Srila Prabhupada has still given us the 10th canto in the form of Krishna book and obviously began translating. It is not that it is there for us to ignore perpetually, but it is also there for us not to rush in. One of Bhakti Vikas Maharaj often quotes this saying he found when he was researching Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhav from one of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, that fools rush in where angels dare to tread. If one jumps in to the most intimate parts of Krishna's pastimes, that is a bit dangerous. And then one should, one will not be admitted into there if one does so. Yeah, so I've gone over. I had a few other things, but I won't take all of your time. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya vichapatitanam pavinebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.